The Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers are set to start their series on Sunday. Can't wait. Round two. It's going to be a great series. I think the Pacers are tremendously underrated going into this series. They turned their season around on December 13th. They started 10-15. After that, after that 10-15 start, the Pacers have had the seventh best offense in the NBA by offensive rating, the sixth best defense in the NBA by defensive rating numbers. And in terms of net rating, they've been the sixth best team in the NBA since December 13th. This is a very complete basketball team that gets it done on both ends of the floor. And of course, they're led by the one and only Tyrese Haliburton. During that exact same time frame, the Cleveland Cavaliers, unsurprisingly, had the number one offensive rating, the best offense in the NBA, as they have had all year long. It has been just a year filled with buckets and three-pointers from Cleveland, and they've had the eighth best defense in the NBA. And then overall, they had the third best net rating, only behind the Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So we have the second and third best teams in the Eastern Conference since December 13th playing in this game, and it's going to be just outstanding. Since the turn of the calendar, since New Year's Day, just take a listen to how similar the Cavaliers and the Pacers numbers are. The Cavaliers are 35-14 since New Year's Day. The Pacers are 34-14. The Cavaliers are averaging a little over 121 points per game. The Pacers are averaging a little over 119 points per game. The Cavaliers are averaging about 48 rebounds. Pacers 42. The Cavaliers are averaging about 28 assists, and the Pacers are averaging about 30 assists. The Cavaliers are shooting 48% from the floor. The Pacers are at 49% from the floor. Both teams are shooting 37% from three, and both teams are around 78% from the foul line. These are two teams who can really score the basketball and have both been playing really well over the last 55 games heading into the postseason. And the number on that list that excites me the most are those assist numbers. Two teams that move the basketball extremely well. If you just like good basketball, you're going to love this series. If you hate watching the Boston Celtics matchup hunt every game that they play in, then this is the series for you, because both teams do an excellent job of moving the basketball and making sure that everyone is involved in the offense. It's what makes both of these teams so much fun to watch. And the other thing that I'm really intrigued by, there's three things in this series that I'm really going to be paying attention to. And the first thing is the depth. Both of these teams are abnormally deep. Neither one of these teams is going to run into a Los Angeles Lakers situation where they only have, like six guys that they feel like they can really play. The Cavaliers didn't play many close games against the Miami Heat. Game one was closer than people realized. It was really tight going into the fourth quarter, and then Ty Jerome goes off for 16 points in that quarter, or in the fourth, and then, the Cavs win by like 21. But in that game, the Cavaliers played 10 guys. Like, they went 10 deep in their rotation. Game two, the Cavaliers won by 9. They played 10 legitimate guys in their rotation during that game. And then obviously they crushed Miami down there in Miami. And then when you look at the Pacers, they had a game, I think it was game 2 against the Bucks, where they played 10 guys in the first quarter. They went 10 deep in games 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 against the Milwaukee Bucks. And, we talk about adjustments and switching up rotations and matching minutes and doing all these things in the playoffs. And there are some teams who just don't have enough guys to do that. Like, let's just go right back to the Lakers. Like, they just didn't have enough centers on their roster to combat Rudy Gobert. And that's not like there is no adjustment. Like, there's nothing to really go to really fix that. That's not going to be an issue either way in this series. Both teams are going to have answers to whatever the other team throws at them, because both teams have 10 guys who can legitimately play in a playoff series. And so I'm very intrigued to see how both of these coaches, who were both excellent, Kenny Atkinson has been great in his first year. Rick Carlisle, he's been doing it for a long time. One of the most underrated offensive-minded head coaches in the history of the NBA, in my opinion. That's a different video, though. And so I'm very intrigued to see how these coaches mix and match their rotations and what different things they kind of try with all these different tools that they have on their benches. Because, Ty Jerome's awesome. DeAndre Hunter coming off the bench is kind of crazy. TJ McConnell might be the most popular white dude in the league, like coming off the bench scoring a whole bunch of points, and Jarrett Walker's really kind of come into his own, and Benedict Mathurin, he can get you buckets off the bench, and Obi Toppin's been really good. Like both of these teams have so much shooting and offense coming off their benches that it's going to be a lot of fun watching the depth and how both coaches kind of manage who plays and how they want to match up. Speaking of matchups, I'm intrigued to kind of see how these work. I feel like the Pacers are a little bit better equipped in their backcourt to deal with Cleveland has versus how well Cleveland is equipped in their backcourt to deal with the Pacers backcourt. Like Andrew Nembhard has developed into one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA this season. Aaron Nesmith is an absolute dog. Like those two guys, like you trust whenever they're defending on the perimeter. They're going to draw the Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell assignments. I don't know how they're going to match up. If I had to guess, they're going to put Aaron Nesmith on Mitchell, and they'll put Nembhard on Garland. We'll see. Both of those guys, Nembhard's like a legit 6'5". Aaron Nesmith's probably like 6'7". And so, but they can switch those if they want to for some reason. Also, McConnell, that's another dude who can come in and just be a pest. He's a really good defender as well. Benedict Mathurin and Jarrett Walker have really nice stretches where they defend great. They also have stretches where they look like they don't belong, like they don't belong on an NBA court on the defensive end of the floor. So we'll kind of see how Carlisle kind of matches minutes with Mitchell. I would assume that they're always going to have either Aaron Nesmith or Andrew Nembhard on the floor to defend Mitchell, but we'll kind of see how they deal with that. And then for like Cleveland, like Isaac Okoro is probably their best perimeter defender, but he only played 11 minutes per game in that first series against Miami. And I get it, like some of the games were blowouts, and so that like skews the minutes. But like, I don't know, like do you really want to put like Darius Garland or Donovan Mitchell on Tyrese Haliburton? Like you can. Like when Ty Jerome comes in, he'll be a good option because he's, a bigger guard who can really defend. But like in terms of the starters, I'm very intrigued to kind of see how the Cavaliers go about defending him. I really don't know what they're going to do there. If you have an idea, please drop it in the comments below. And then the front court is really interesting as well, because I'm just very intrigued to see how the Cavaliers try to deal with the Pacers and vice versa, because they're like the Cavaliers are going to want to run that two big lineup with Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen on the floor. And I just don't know how they're going to do it. Like I'm assuming that they're going to put Evan Mobley on Pascal Siakam because the Pacers really like to run that Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Haliburton screen and roll. And obviously you want Evan Mobley defending that, the defensive player of the year, as opposed to Jarrett Allen. But the issue is you want Jarrett Allen around the basket, coming over and help defense to block shots and challenge shots at the rim. But Miles Turner shooting like 38% from three on the year. So he's going to be hanging out on the perimeter. And so I'm intrigued to see how committed the Cavaliers are to that two big lineup, and if they can really run it against the spacing and the pace that the Pacers are going to want to play with. So can the Cavaliers run that two big lineup? I'm really intrigued to see. That is probably the thing that I'm going to be paying attention to the most, because if they can, it's going to be really tough on the Pacers, because the Pacers are a decent rebounding team. Miles Turner is not exactly the best rebounding center. And if they're able to run Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley out there, it wouldn't surprise me if the Cavaliers just rebounded their way to winning this series. So can they survive defensively with both of those guys on the floor? Very intrigued to kind of see how they deal with that. Also interested to see what they do with Darius Garland. How are the Pacers going to attack that guy? Because Darius Garland is a bad defender. Just no way around it. Like, he's gotten better, but he's small and not very strong, and it's problematic. And the Pacers, at all times, except for when Ben Shepherd's on the floor, but he doesn't really play a ton, the Pacers pretty much at all times have five guys on the floor who can dribble, pass, and shoot. They got five guys on the floor who can go and get their own shot. It's why they're so impactful and efficient on the offensive end of the floor. I don't know where Cleveland is going to hide Darius Garland on defense. It's like you can't really put him on Aaron Nesmith because Aaron Nesmith, like, he's a dog and he'll go at you. Same thing with Andrew Nembhard. Tyrese Haliburton, obviously, you can't put him on him. You can't put him on, TJ McConnell or Obi Toppin or, obviously none of the power forwards or centers. Like you can't put him on them either. And so I don't know where they're going to hide him. The Pacers, they'll just hide Haliburton on a shooter, whether it's Max Strus or Sam Merrill, or Wade, whoever it ends up being. I think it's going to be much easier for the Pacers to hide him as opposed to the Cavaliers hiding Darius Garland. So I'm going to be locked into that. Like, how does Cleveland not survive? Because that is a completely and totally unfair term. Like, this has been the 8th best defense in the NBA since December 13th. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful of them, but that defense is heavily reliant on running two bigs. And I'm just intrigued to see how the Cavaliers try to contain the ball on the perimeter because they don't have a ton of just like outstanding perimeter defenders. So very intrigued with that, especially with Darius Garland, because the Pacers will match up on occasionally. They did that a little bit against the Bucks, trying to get Siakam matched up on like Green or Gary Trent Jr., and then they throw him the ball 12 feet from the bucket, and he'd go score. So just intrigued to see how the Pacers try to attack Darius Garland because he is the biggest weakness on that Cleveland defense. Same thing goes for the Pacers, though. Like, how is Cleveland going to attack Tyrese Haliburton? He has improved defensively, but he's still not a very good defender. So how do they try to get him switched on a Garland or Donovan Mitchell? And kind of how does all that pan out? I think I like the Pacers a little bit more in those scenarios, though, just because Haliburton's taller and longer than Garland, so he's going to be able to contest a little bit easier. And you've got Jarrett Allen and or Evan Mobley hanging around the rim, which allows guys like Miles Turner to come over and help and maybe help, get a stop. So I'm intrigued to see how teams try to hide their really good offensive players that struggle on the defensive end of the floor. So those are kind of the three things that I'm looking at. How does the depth play a role in this series? Like how do each of these teams kind of maneuver having 10 guys who can really play? Can Cleveland play their two big lineup? Because if they can, good luck, Indiana. Seriously. And then finally, how do these two teams attack the opposing team's weak defensive point guard? Because that's really what it is. So very intrigued, very, very excited for the series. I think beautiful basketball is going to be played. I think the ball is going to be popping and moving, and I can't wait. I think a lot of points are going to be scored. There's going to be a lot of good shots taken from both of these teams because they're just both excellent on the offensive end of the floor. Ultimately, though, I like Cleveland in 7. I don't feel great about it. I think this is a tough matchup for them because the Pacers will be able to potentially, we'll see, play them out of that two big man lineup that they really like to run. So thank you for watching this video a little longer than most. If you're new, subscribe, like this video. Let me know in the comments below who you like in this series, and I'll talk to you again soon.